Hello, my name is Matins, and I'll be taking you through Advanced Excel for Business and Private Table. As we all know, Excel is very important in our business environment. So we'll be doing a lot of things right inside your Excel. We'll talk about introduction to Microsoft Excel. We're going to be looking at worksheet manipulation. We're going to be looking at introduction to functions and formulas. We're going to be looking at the formatting cells and number and overview of function. So you're going to learn a lot with it. Look forward to it. Now, to create a worksheet, that means you can open a blank worksheet like this. And in opening the blank worksheet, that means you are creating a new worksheet already. Next, to add a worksheet or to insert a worksheet, you can do what? Right click on any existing worksheet and you'll see what? Insert. Alright. Now once you click on insert, you have a dialog box here and you click on what? OK. So you have your worksheet appearing. Next, you can click on the plus sign here, and once you click on the plus sign, you automatically add a new worksheet. Alright. Then finally, you can use your keyboard shortcut Shift plus F11 to add a new worksheet. I repeat, Shift plus F11 to add a new worksheet. Okay. Alright, next we're going to see how you can rename a worksheet, because your worksheet doesn't have any name. So it's very important and good for you to rename your worksheet so you know exactly what is inside the worksheet. Maybe when you have a different worksheet and you want to name them like January budget, February budget, and so on. So how do you rename a worksheet? To rename a worksheet, double right click on the worksheet tab. Alright, then you click on what? Rename. Then you can type a name. So in my own case, I will say maybe March sales. Then press what? Enter. Okay. Then the next method is to rename a worksheet. You double click on the worksheet and go ahead and type a name. So in this case, I will type what? Maybe April sales. Then press what? Enter. So that is how you can add a new worksheet. Now, another way you can do that is by going to your home tab. Okay. Then in your home tab, you will see what? Insert. Then from here, you click on what? Insert sheet. So you now find out that there's a new worksheet here also that is talking about inserting a new worksheet. Then also to rename it, you can also go to format. Okay, see this format? You click and you will see what? Rename sheet. Now once you click on rename sheet, that cell will select. You can type a name like maybe May sales. You press what? Enter. So those are the ways, the method you can follow to add a new worksheet and rename a worksheet. Now next, how do you delete a worksheet? Assume you have several worksheets and you want to remove some of the worksheet. Then you can just do what? Right click on the sheet you want to delete and click on what? Delete sheet or delete in this pop-out menu, and that sheet is gone. Next, you can click on the sheet you want to delete on your sales group. Under where you have delete here, you click on it, you see this drop down, then you can click on what? Delete sheet, and you'll be able to remove the sheet. Note that once you remove the sheet, you can't get the sheet back. Alright. Now another thing that is very important here is how do we protect our worksheet, because you can protect your worksheet to prevent unwanted users having access to it. Let's assume that I type this value like okay, I type here maybe the one sales. Okay, let's say I type the one sales in my day one sales and I put some value, maybe items. Okay, so now put items, then and I put what? Price. So here I have the first item like a mouse. The price is maybe 2,000. Then I have the next item here, maybe RAM. The price is maybe 4,000. Alright, so I don't want anybody to edit this sheet. Okay, this worksheet. All you need to do is to right click on the worksheet tab. Okay, in order to protect it, then you now come back here and say what? Protect sheet. Then a dialog box will appear. Just go ahead and type the password. Click OK. Type the password again and then click OK. that worksheet has been protected. How do you know that it has been protected? Just try to edit anything here. If I click on this value, then I want to type something else, it will tell me that the cell or the chart you are trying to change is on protected sheet. That means you can't change anything. Alright, so how do you now come back to unprotected anytime you want to edit it, or you want to show someone else how to protect and unprotect? So how do you unprotect it? First, you right click on the sheet tab, which is F4, say the sheet I protect. Then you will see what protect will turn to what unprotect sheet. Okay, meaning that place that was protect has turned to unprotect sheet. So you just click on unprotect sheet and enter the password here and click on what? Okay, that sheet is free now. So that means I've unprotected. You can type any value here, or I can edit anything right here. Okay, so that is how you can protect and unprotect sheet. Another method you can follow to protect your sheet is going to review tab. Then you will see what? Protect sheet. Okay, you can see this protect sheet. I want to click on protect sheet. The protect sheet dialog box appear. Type your password and it will prompt you to retype it again. Then you click on what? Okay, something like this. Type my password, click OK, you type it again and click OK. So that means that sheet has been protected. Okay, another way you can do that is when you click on home tab, then you will see format. Okay, once you see format, you can say unprotect, because I've protected that sheet, meaning you can follow this format to protect and unprotect your sheet. So if I want to unprotect that sheet now, just to click on unprotect and type in the password and click on what? Okay. So that is how you can protect and unprotect your worksheet. Now finally, on this section, I want to show us how you can hide and unhide sheet. To hide sheet, you can just do what? Right click on the sheet you want to hide and you will see this pop-up menu. Then you click on hide, that sheet disappear. Okay, I can right click here again and click on hide and that sheet disappear. Alright, so to unhide it, you can do what? Right click on any existing sheet, then you say what? Unhide. It will show you all the hidden sheet. You can choose the one you want to unhide and click on what? Okay. If I want to bring back the last one, right click here and say unhide, then click on what? Okay, and you have all your sheet coming out. Note, you cannot hide all your sheet. At least one sheet must remain. Alright, now the first thing we are going to do is we have a worksheet here which is called what? The sum function. And in the sum function here, we have that they say item, price, quantity and total. Now the first thing we're going to do here is to see how we can find the total cost of order and total price for price and total cost for quantity. Okay, so here first thing we need to do is to create the sum function to do that. So to create a sum function, we're going to say equal sign. Okay, equal sign. Then we're going to say sum. Okay, so equal sign sum, then tab key to open your parenthesis. Then we now do what? Click and drag to select our range. Then you press what? Enter. Right now we have the sum of this price right here. Again, we are going to find the sum for quantity. Okay, so to do that, under quantity, you can say equal sign sum, tab key to open bracket, then select your range and press what? Enter. So now we have the sum for the quantity. Again, let's say you want to find the average for price and quantity. You can as well come below this and find the average for price. So the average is equal sign, then we say what? Average. Okay, then we select the range we want to find the average. In my own case, my range is from B6 to B10. Alright, B6 to B10, as you can see. If I press enter, then I have my average to be 6.072. Again, now without wasting much time, I want to use what we call autofill. And the autofill in this case is you pointing at the bottom edge of this cell, then click and drag to fill it automatically. So you see that now I point at the bottom edge of this cell then click and drag to extend it to the next cell. So basically that is the formula and for sum and average. If you double click on this result, you see that there is the formula that had been generated for us. Again, if you double click on the average, you see that there's a formula that has been generated for us. And if you take a look at your formula bar up here, okay, you also see that there's a formula that has been generated for us. So up here in my formula bar, you see that there's a formula for that average. So in case you want to figure out a function or formula for average, you can be sure to type it exactly this way. It doesn't matter the column you're making use of. All you need to do is to put your own range. Okay. Alright, again we're going to jump in and see another example of how we can perform some sort of sum and to find average. Alright, now look at this. In this case, we have an employee's payroll. We have their last name, their first name, their hourly wage, and so on. So here we want to find the pay. So whereby the first person work, hourly wage is 15.99, hourly work is what, 41. We want to find the pay for this particular person. So what's the formula? Now the formula is going to be equal sign. We say what? I now click on what? C3 multiplied by D3. Okay, C3 multiplied by D3. Then you press enter. Now that will show me the total or the pay for this particular person. Without wasting time to do it one after another, you can do what? Do your autofill by pointing at the bottom right edge of this cell, then double click to have the autofill. Okay. Alright, so let's assume down here we have total. We want to find the total for this. Okay, let's say we want to know how much do we spend to pay all these people. So we want to find the total. So the total will be what? You say what? Equal sign. Now say what? Sum. Open your bracket. Then go up here. Select your cell inside here. Alright, so now I select my range. Then you can press what? Enter. You find the total. That means I spent up to $30,000 plus to pay my staff. Now for the average, how do we find the average for the pay? For example, let's say you want to find the average for the pay. The average for the pay still remain equal sign. You now say what? Average. Okay. Once you say average, you now select the cells you want to add there. Then do what? Press enter. Now you can see the formula there. First of all, type equal sign average. Select my range by clicking and drag my range. Then press what? Enter. So that gives me what? The average for my pay. Okay. Alright. Then the next thing is to see out the mean. That is the minimum value. That means who has the minimum pay or the lowest pay, because mean is used to find the lowest value in a range of cells. So in this case, I'll just come here and say equal sign mean. Okay, then I select my cells inside here. See that? Then I press enter. So here I will have what? My mean, which is what? 362.78. That is the minimum pay. That means the person that has the lowest pay on that payment. Then finally for max, you can do the same thing by saying equal sign max. Remember, max is maximum that return the largest value in a set of values. So you type max, then you select the range by clicking and drag and insert the range you want to find the max. It's like you saying Excel should enter E3 to E14 and let you see or bring out the maximum value. So when you are done, press enter. So for each time you click on the formula or the result, you look at your formula bar, you will see the formula that has created for you in case you want to use this to practice any other sample file. Now another thing I want to do here quickly also is I want to select these cells, then go to my cell styles, then give it calculation. That means those cells, those value, they are calculated value. There's a formula that generates them. It's not ordinary value. So I can make it what? Calculation. Just like I can come here and select these cells here, then go to my cell style and click, then choose what? Input. Okay, input. That means this is just ordinary input value. There is no calculation attached to getting those values. For this one down here that I format with what calculation, that means there's a formula that perform or generate those value. So basically that is how you can find your max, your mean, your sum. Okay, and we're going to look at more other function, but note that sum is mathematical function, average is statistic function, then mean is mathematical function, okay, and others. So but we're going to look at one of the most used function in Excel, which is what the if function. Okay, now the if function is used to perform logical tests and comparison on value. In other words, if you go to formula tabs, under logical tab or under logical group, you will see what if. Now if is used to compare value. If is used to say if something is true, do something, otherwise do something else. So it's used to perform some comparison of data and to produce a logical result. Okay, all right, so let me come up here and create something out. I'll give us the first example about if. So if you click on this table, you see that we have a table called peer company sales, and we have the salesperson here. As you can see, we have their sales from week 1 to week 4. First of all, we have to find the total. So I will now find the total here by saying equal sign our normal sum, then select the cells from here down here. As you can see, B4 to what E4, then press what enter. That has given me what the total of this cells value. Then I will now point at the bottom edge here, then double click to give me auto fill. So automatically, without wasting time, I just find a sum for every other salesperson. But the question is that, was goal made? Which goal are we talking about? They were given a goal to make sure that their sales, their total sales is greater than or equal to what monthly sale. So the monthly goal. So look up here, you see monthly goal. That means as a salesperson, they have been given a task to make sure that your total sales is greater than or equal to what the monthly goal. So we want to use Excel to compare. We want to use Excel to do a logical check, a logical test on this to see what it can return for us. Now we want a situation whereby Excel should check if the total sales is greater than or equal to what monthly goal. It should return yes, that means the goal was made. If not, it will return no, that means the goal wasn't made. So assuming that we have a large number of people here, if function will allow us to know those people that made the target. Okay, so this is how you can achieve that by saying equal sign, then if, tab key to open bracket. Now you say what if this cell, which is F4, is greater than or equal to what G1. Now look at the formula there, F4 greater than or equal to G1. Now for Excel to make that G1 constant, for it to make it absolute cell reference so that it will always point to that cell, we press F4 on our keyboard to make it what absolute cell reference. Absolute cell reference always remain the same no matter where you're copying to. I'd like you to know that we have 3 types of cell reference in Excel. Number 1 is what we have relative cell reference, we have an absolute cell reference, we have mixed cell reference. But for me to press F4 after typing G1 to lock that cell or to anchor, it means that I'm making that cell G1 to be what absolute cell reference, so that no matter where I copy to, it will not change. Alright, so I'll put comma here, open my double quote and put yes. That means if F4 is greater than or equal to what G2, then tell me that yes, to show that a goal was made. If not, tell me what no, to show that the goal was not made. It means that the person did not make his or herself greater than or equal to what the monthly goal, which is $34,000. So you see the formula there. All you need to do is to press what enter. So now we have yes. So it showed that Mr. Jobs' total sales was $36,000 and the monthly goal here is 34. That means his sales is greater than and equal to what 34. So yes, the goal was made for that particular person. So autofill by pointing at the bottom edge here and double click to see the rest. So let's say that this person that has no, which is 33,990, that means the goal was not made because he couldn't make his total set to be greater than or equal to what the monthly goal. So no, the goal was not made for that person. That means he didn't meet up his or what monthly goal of making sure that your total set is greater than or equal to what 34, which is our monthly goal. So That is another way you can use the if function to check this. Remember, if function is used to check if a condition is met. Return one value if it's true, another value is false. It also can be used to do what? Logically compare what data or information or value in yourself. So looking at the value here, the formula, you see that it's very easy for us to achieve a lot of things right here. Alright, the next example I want us to notice here about the if is that here we found out that we have this table for if function. Then we said the question here is revenue greater than 15,000, then good. That means if, look at my column here, we have revenue. If the revenue is greater than 15,000, Excel will show good. That means we make good sale, we make good revenue from that point. Okay, so we now come here and say equal sign if sorry, let me get all this. Okay, just undo this, normal. Okay, so here is what we want to do. We want to come and say equal sign if this revenue, which is in C5, is greater than 15,000. Okay, I click on that 15,000, which is our condition. Then I press F4 to anchor that. That means no matter where I drop it to, no matter where I copy it to, Excel should always focus on that particular cell. It doesn't change. It won't change. It shouldn't change. Comma. Then we say what? Good. Comma. Else what? 0. Okay. Else 0. Alright. That means that formula is saying that if revenue is greater than 15,000, it will show good. If it's not, it will show what? 0. So by pressing enter, it will show me 0. Let's do autofill at the bottom edge, point and click and double click. So anywhere you see good right now, it shows that my revenue is greater than what? 15,000. Okay, look at like the last one here, 20,400. That means our revenue is greater than 15,000. That is why showing good. Look at this other one, 30,400 is showing good. That means that revenue is greater than what? 15,000. So it will show us what? Good at this point. Okay, so going forward in the next series, we're going to illustrate more example for the if function. Alright, finally, let's say I have the next worksheet here, which I'm going to use to illustrate our if function. Okay, so here we have student result sheet. Okay, student result sheet. If you look at it here, this is another part you can apply your if function. So we have average pass mark greater than 50. That means a student is to score average of above 50 before you can have pass mark. So here, first of all, we have to come back and find the average for the student. Okay, we have to find the average for the student by coming here first of all to find average. I've already shown us the formula on how to find average. So we come here and say equal sign average. Okay, average of what? Quickly, I'll just say average of this value, average of this score. Then I press enter. So now 55. Then I'll do what? Autofill. Okay, so having generated or finding the average, which if I double click here, you see the formula there that say equal sign average of D5 to D5. So I press what? Enter. Alright, so you see that once you click on it, you see that the formula is there on your formula bar. Okay, so now a student is to score 50 above as or under average not to have passed. So that means we are using the average column to determine our grade. So this has to be, we're going to say equal sign if, okay, if this cell is greater than what? 50, comma, then what we want to see is what? Pass, or what we want to see is what? Fair. Alright, so we type fair, then close this and close. Now look at the formula there. So we want Excel to check if the score under average greater than 50 should return pass, if not return fail. Remember I said if something is true, do something, otherwise do something else. If the average is greater than 50, return pass, if not return fail. So pressing enter, it will show us pass because the average there is greater than 50. So autofill point and double click to see the remaining part of the score. All right, so that is basically how you can use what your if function to perform a lot of tasks. Okay, so here's our worksheet, and I want to quickly start with something here. And I promised in our last part, or in our last edition, that is day 2, that I'm going to make something quickly and talking about to see some more example about the if function. So quickly, let's look at some example about the if function. All right, so here we have a worksheet here, and which the first question here in this worksheet says enter formula to find 5% discount if the sales value is greater than 500. That means that we have the salesperson, we have the sales value, we have the discount value. So we want to find 5% of this discount value right here. So we'll talk about if. So if can help us to do that. So all you need to do is to say equal sign, then call up your if. Okay, equal sign if. Now I'm clicking if. Okay, sorry about that. So we have equal sign. All right, so we say equal sign. Sorry, if. Then you open parenthesis. If this cell is greater than this cell, okay, that is if B3 is greater than C1. Now I will make that C1 absolute cell reference so that no matter where I copy it to, it will not change. So I press F4 on my keyboard to make it absolute cell reference, then comma. Then I will put if B3 greater than C1, then I will now come back and multiply B3. I will say B3 multiply by 5%. So I'll just put what 5%, otherwise 0. Then I will close my parenthesis. So what I want Excel to do here is that I want Excel to find 5% of sales value if the sales value is greater than 500. So you see my formula that says equal sign B3 greater than C1. C1 content where I have my 500. So Excel is using what is in B3 to compare, to check if that value is greater than what is in C1. If it's greater than what is in C1, multiply B3 with 5%, else 0. If I press enter here, what it will give me what 50. That means 50 here is 5% of 1000. So you can do your autofill by double clicking, and you will see your autofill coming out. Okay, I will be clear with that. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do here, as you can see, we found out that Excel have shown us 5% of this value right now, which is 50. So if I double click here now, you will see the formula which says what equal sign if B3 greater than C1. C1 is where we have the 500, then B3 multiplied by 5%, else 0. Right, so that's the formula used for that, because the question here is enter formula to find 5% discount if the sales value is greater than what 500. Okay, then in our next if here we have it says enter formula to display discount if the sales value is greater than 500 and no discount if the sales value is less than 500. So same thing, we are going to just say equal sign. We say if this cell, just like we did before, if this cell is greater than 500 here, okay, then absolute cell reference by pressing F4, comma, then we open our quote and say what discount, comma, or what no discount. Okay, no discount. So as you can see, Excel will check if that cell value is greater than 500, it will return discount. If it's not, it will return no discount. So as you can see from my formula, which says what equals an if B15 greater than C1, okay, then display discount, otherwise no discount. All right, so right now you're going to press enter. So it's showing us no discount because the sales value here is not greater than what 500. Okay, it's like saying if the customer orders something above 500, give the person discount. If it's not, no discount. So in this case, we'll do autofill to see for the rest. So we have some that has discount, some that doesn't have what discount. Okay, so that's the formula you can use to achieve that. Another example, you can work with what the if function. All right, so how can we use the dialog box to work with this? Let me remove this result here. Now to use the dialog box, you can go to formula tabs, right? Then go to logical. Remember, if is a logical function. So here you just click on what the if formula or the if function. The Excel will add if here for you. Then I will now say what this cell greater than what 500. Okay, this cell greater than 500. Then if the cell is greater than 500, then I will say discount. Okay, I will say discount, or I will say what no discount. All right, no discount. So once I click OK, it will be the same way or the same method like typing the formula. So here I can do what autofill down to fill it down. So that's the formula you can enter to find discount if the server is greater than 500 and do discount. Okay. All right. Another example about this is when you go to the next example here. Okay, we have another example that says grade. So we want to use average to find a grade using if. Now here, average has been given, average of what? Exam 1 and exam 2. So if I open this formula, you see that there's a formula there, okay, that says equals an average B4 to what? C4. So that gives us the average. So we're going to use the average to determine our grade. So by saying equal sign, again, if this cell that contains the average is D4 greater than what? 50. In this case, a student must score 50 in average to have what? Pass. So if you don't score 50 above, then you will be what? Fail. So I'll just put here fail. Then I close it. Now look at the formula. What the formula is doing is that the formula is checking if D4, which is the average, if the average is greater than 50, then it return pass or fail. Alright. So here I press enter, and what it return is what? Pass, because the average is greater than 50 for that particular person. So I will do what? Autofill right here. Okay, so I will do my autofill. So that's how you can use the if function in this scenario, by finding the average, then find what? A grade using what? The if function. Okay, now I've already indicated that pass mark is greater than 50. That means a student should have pass mark, or a student pass mark should be greater than 50 if we can have what? Pass. So the formula is there, which you can see and follow up. Alright, then for the and is a logical function. If you go to formula tab, you see logical, you see and. Okay, it says check whether all arguments are true and return true if all arguments are true. So we're going to use that and to find the grade also. So we're going to combine that to make it what? Nested function. So if you combine more than one function, like 2, 3 function, that becomes what? A nested function. And we're also going to apply if in this case. So we say equal sign if and what? If this cell is greater than what? 50, comma. Again, if this cell greater than what? 50, then I close my parenthesis, comma, then return what? Pass, comma, or return what? Fail. Then I close this, then I can close my parenthesis. Now look at the formula there. If I press enter now, it's showing me pass. So what is that formula doing? The formula there says what? If and B4 greater than 50, C4 greater than 50. That means if all the score there are greater than 50, Excel will return pass. If not, it return what? Fail. So in this case, once I press enter, it returns pass for this person, but once I do autofill, it returns fail for the rest. For example, if you check the person that it returned fail to, that person scored 40, which is less than 50, 40, which is less than 50, then it return fail. Then what about this person that scored 61 and 40? This is greater than 50, but it's not greater than 50. That's why I say return fail. Okay, so meaning exam 1 is greater than 50, but exam 2 is not greater than 50. Note that and 1 or the function or the argument or the value will be greater than what 50. In other words, all the argument will be met before you give out the output. Alright, or before you give out the result. Alright. Okay, quickly, the next example we have there is still on if. Let's assume we have name and we have scores. Then the scores here is 30, 70, 75, and 75. Now we want to use the if to check after what we are doing. If a student score above 90, A, above 80, B, and so on. So here I will enter the if formula by saying equal sign if cell, okay, if cell C B3 is greater than 90. That's what we're going to enter here. So we say equal sign if cell B3 greater than 90. Okay, you can also use greater than or equal to. So by saying equal sign if cell B3 greater than or equal to 90. Now what do you want it to return? Let's say we return what? A, that is A grade, comma. So we follow that order by saying again if that same cell B3 is greater than what? 50, comma, or you can say greater than or equal to, like I said. So let's say greater than or equal to 80, okay, comma. What do you want to see? If it's greater than 80, you say what? B, okay, comma. Again, if that cell is greater than or equal to what? 70, comma. What do you want to see there? You want to see what? C, okay, comma. Again, if that cell is greater than, that is if B3 is greater than or equal to what? Let's say 60, comma, greater than 60. Let's say we are looking at D, okay, comma. Then finally, if B3 is greater than or equal to what? 50, comma, greater than 50, we want to see what? E, okay. Else we now have what? F, okay. So that means if the condition is not met, except we turn what? A. I like us to know that in this case, number of parents open must be number closed. So we close with 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we close with 5 parentheses because if you look at this formula now, we open with 5 parentheses. That is 5 bracket. So you have to close with what? 5. So look at all the syntax, all the argument that we included, the comma and so on. So this formula will return A if the student score 90 or that is greater than or equal to 90. Return B if the student score greater than or equal to 80. Return C if the student score greater than or equal to 70. So by pressing enter, what I have is F. F because this person, Gravani, score less than 50, that is 30. So it return what? F. So let's check it out for the rest. Okay, so autofill will let us see the rest. So but if I should now come back here and change this 30 to maybe 90, it returns to what? A. If I now change this 75 for example to maybe 81, it should now turn to what? B. Because if you look at our formula here, greater than or equal to what? 80 is B, greater than or equal to what? 70 is C, and so on. So you follow that order to create an nested if function that contains more than what? One argument. Alright, so that is how you can create a nested if function. Okay, so let's quickly look at our sum if, which is the next thing we are going to look at here. Alright, nested, just like nested if, we have sum if. Sum if sum a range of cells based on a given condition, and it's what? A statistic function, just like every other function. So when you go to formula tabs, you will see math and trick. So just like statistic function, we have mathematical function, we have lookup function, but sum if is mathematical function. So that's why you go to math and trick, and down there you will see what sum if. Okay, if you scroll down, okay, you will see what sum if somewhere here. Okay, we have sum if here. So we're going to use sum if to sum this, because the question here is total value of sales where each sales person sold product value at over 6,000 in a month. That means that this value of sales, we should do what? Find or calculate or sum those value of sales here that are greater than what? 6,000. So in this case, we're going to use what? Sum if. We're going to say equal sign sum if. Then we select our range. Then we now put what? Our criteria. Criteria must be enclosed with double quote, because criteria can be in form of expression, can be in form of what? A number. Okay, so we now say greater than what? 6,000. Then we close this. Okay, so you see that. So if you look at the formula is not summing everything, it's summing those range, those cells that are greater than what? 6,000. That's those value of cells in column D that are greater than what? 6,000. Okay, because you may have some range, you may have some value, but you don't necessarily need to sum all of them, you don't necessarily need to add all of them. If you want to add all of them, then use what? Normal sum function. But so far you want to sum based on a given condition or a given criteria, use what? Sum if. So that is how the formula look like. So if I should press enter here, you see that the result there is what? 13,000. Okay, because it's only summing those ones that greater than what? 6,000. If I now remove greater than and put what? Less than, and press enter, it will now show us 12,250, because what the formula is doing now is summing those value of cells that are less than what? 6,000. So here you can use any of those comparison operator like greater than, less than, not equal to check this out when you want to use the sum if. Okay, quickly, another part of this sum if is this. If you look at this worksheet, we said allowance for years of service greater than 5. Okay, but first of all, let's say we want to sum allowance greater than 40,000. What will it be if you are summing allowance greater than 40,000? Okay, so let's say we want to sum allowance greater than 40,000. So we now say equal sign sum if. Then we select our range. In this case, our range is what? Allowance from this column down here, which is what? C5 to what? C11, comma. What is our criteria? Open your double quote, greater than what? 40,000. Okay, so close this, then close it. So that means that sum if C5 to C11 greater than 40,000. That means we want Excel to go into column C that contain our allowance and sum those allowance greater than what? 40,000. So when you press enter, that is what? 295,000. Okay, that means our allowance that greater than 40,000, 295,000. That means those staff that earn above 40,000, their total allowance is what? 295,000. So that's another way you can use what? The sum if. So looking at the formula, you can create any sum if formula to calculate based on a given condition. Remember, your condition or your criteria must be put in what? Double quote. Okay, now look down on the formula. You see that we have range, criteria, and sum range. Sum range is optional, meaning at some point we may not need it. Okay, but when can we use the sum range? Now in this case, let's use the sum range here. The sum range is used when you have other column to add up to your value or to your formula. So let's say equal sign, because the question here is allowance for years of service greater than 5. So now it's equal sign sum if. In our sum if, we select our range, because Excel is checking if those value are greater than what? Greater than 5. Okay, if those value greater than 5, go and sum their allowance, then we close our parenthesis. So what that means is that sum if B5 to B11 greater than 5. That means check column B5 to B11. Is there any value or is there any years of service greater than 5? If there is, go to column C and sum the allowance. So once I press enter, Excel is giving us 160,000, which is what? 7 years. Okay, Okay, 7 years, then 9 years, then what, 6 years. Okay, so it's taking 55,000, 40,000, and 65,000 to give us what, 160,000. Okay, because from our years of service, those are the value, those are the years of service that are greater than what, 5. So if years of service greater than 5, Excel will sum what their allowance. That is what that formula is doing. Okay, so sum if can be used when you want to sum a range of cells based on what, a given condition. Okay, now we also have average if. Okay, average if. Now average if is used when you want to find average based on what, a given condition. Let's say you want to find average for those cells or for those allowance that are greater than what, 50,000 or greater than 40,000. So that means we are finding the average based on a condition. And what's our condition? Go into column C for allowance, find those average or calculate those average that are greater than what, 50,000. So let's say equal sign. We now say what, average average if. All right, then we select what, our cells, then comma, provide our criteria that is greater than 40,000 in this case, then close this and close our parenthesis. So exactly the same way sum if work is how average if work, just that average find average, sum the total value. Okay, so average will give us arithmetic mean of a given value that is based on a condition in this case. So by the time you press enter, it will give you the average. So look at how the formula look like in case you want to apply to find average of a given value based on condition or criteria. So by pressing enter here, giving us 59,000. That means in this column called allowance, those allowance or the average for allowance greater than 50,000 or greater than 40,000 rather is what, 59,000. Okay, so you can use the sum if to sum based on a given condition criteria. You can use the average if to find average based on a given condition or criteria. So feel free to use any of these when you want to add a sum of value based on a given condition. So here we have our Excel worksheet. Okay, now in our Excel worksheet we have the following sales report, and we have region, we have sales 2019, sales 2020. Okay, now we also have sales 2021. Now we're going to see how we can pull this into a chart, probably a column chart also. So how do we create a chart? First of all, to create a chart, all you need to do is first select the cells or select the range you want to use. So first of all, we select the range, then go up to the insert tab, then from your insert tab in a group called chart, as you can see, you click on chart, then you can choose any types of chart you want. Is it 2D chart, 3D column chart, and so on. So let's say I'm going to choose 2D column chart, and I have my chart right here. Okay, now note that once your chart appear, you have additional tab here called chart design and chart format or format. Okay, so but we're going to look at a few things about this chart design. First, we're going to see chart style. Okay, down we have chart style. So if you click on the arrow here, you will see different types of chart style. You can choose any chart style of your choice, or if there's a lot of other chart style you can choose from. So maybe something like this. So you can choose any chart style of your choice. Next, you can choose chart change color. There's a lot of color you can use and change the color of your chart. All right, next up here, you can click up here, then select it and type a title. Here in my own case, I'll call it regional sales report. That's regional sales report. So that is the title. But should in case you don't have where to type the title, you can do it this way. Okay, you can click and do this. So let's say I don't have where to type my title. What you will do is to go back to chart design, then under we have quick layout. You will see some layout you can choose, and some of the layout you choose there will allow you to type the chart title. Next, you can go to add chart element. Once you are in add chart element, you will see add axis, chart title, data label. So if I want to add the title, then I will say what title above. So I can click here and I have for chart title. Then I can see select this and type my title. Maybe I still go with what regional sales report, so I'll still go with that. Okay, so that's basically how you can create your chart. Now let's assume going forward we have another sales here. Okay, another sales called what? Maybe we say we have sales 2022, and we put some value about it, like our 2022 sales. We have something like 60 here. We have another one here, maybe 40. All right, so and we want to add this to our chart. Notice that our chart carry only 219, 220, 221. So let's say we want to add this cell 2022 to our chart. So all you need to do is to add a data series. So by doing that, you select your range. All right, you copy it by using Ctrl+C, click on it and paste it. I'm using Ctrl+V to paste it. And if you look at this chart, you see that we now have sales 2022 in our chart. So that's how you can create a chart, number one. Number two, you can add what? A data series. Okay, let's look at the next thing about this chart, talking about change chart type. Change chart type. Now let's assume we started with what? A column chart, and in the end we don't need a column chart anymore. Maybe let's say we need what? A pie chart or any types of chart. So how do you change this chart layout to something else? So by doing so, you can click on chart design, then you will see here change chart type, or you can right click on the chart and you see what? Change chart type. Now once you click on it, then the change chart type dialog box appear. Then all you need to do is to change to any types of chart you want, maybe line chart, pie chart, bar chart. So in my own case, I'll click on what? Pie chart. Then I choose any pie chart of my choice here. Then I click on what? OK. Now right now you discover that the chart has changed to what? A pie chart. Now you also have what? Chart style, in case you want to choose any style for this particular chart. Right, so you can actually change the style of your chart, and also you can change the layout of your chart using what? Change chart type. Okay, I hope we're all good with that and you understand the process. All right, so you can also take it back to your normal column chart by going to change chart type again from this point. Then now click on the chart type. Let's say I want to return it back to column chart. You can click on column chart, then click on OK. So with this now, I'm able to do what? Return my chart back to the way it was. So that's how you can change chart type or change chart layout. So we talked about creating chart, how you can select your range and create your chart. We talked about how you can change chart type. Now let's see how you can change the series. Let's assume in 219 we have the highest sales here, which is the 90 something. Okay, here we have 95 under East region. Okay, so let's say we want to change this data series to what? A curve line. So what you simply do is to right click on the data series, then you will see what? Change series chart type. Alright, so by clicking on change series chart type, the dialog box that appear under we have east and west. You see where I'm pointing? Then you see cluster column. Once you click, you can choose what? Line. That means I'm creating a curve line on top of what? A column chart, and you can click on what? OK. So that's how you can change series chart type. Okay, or you can change it back to the way it was by doing what? Right click on it, then change series chart type, then go down there on the same place in that dialog box and click on it, then choose what? Bar chart. So you see that I've returned it back to the way it was. So I can quickly click on what? OK, right here. So the next one is that apart from creating your chart, you can change chart type, you can change the data series, and also remember you can also click on design, chart design, change chart style, change color, and add some quick layout. And you can also add some chart element like what? Axis, chart title, label, and so on. Okay. Alright, the next thing we're going to look at here will be how do you copy your chart to another sheet. So let's say I want to take this chart, I want to copy it to another sheet. You can click on it, then go to home tab and click on copy. Alright, then now go back to the sheet I want, then click on that cell in that sheet, then I paste it. So right now I've been able to copy my chart from one worksheet to what? Another. Okay, again let's assume we have our another region added here. Let's say south region. In south region we have the following cells to be what? Maybe 40, we have 10, we have 15, we have what? maybe 45. So these are the cells there. So if I want to add this cell to our chart, you can just select this, right? Then copy it, click inside the chart and paste it. I repeat, select the cells, copy it and paste it inside the chart. Now look at, now we have east, west and south. Before now it was what? East and west only. Now we have south. So if you look at the green one here, or the light green here, is the south. So what I mean is that you can add a data series to your chart. Okay, notice that we started with what? East and west, and 219 to 221, but we just add 2022 and copy it to our chart, add south cells and their value, then copy it to our chart. So you don't need to delete the chart out and create a new chart. Just copy the range, click on the chart and paste it. It will appear right inside the chart. Okay, so I've talked about how you can copy this chart to another sheet. Now, how do you copy your chart to another application like Microsoft Word, for example? To link your chart to Microsoft Word such that whatever you edit in the Microsoft Excel chart, it will reflect in the Microsoft Word chart. All you need to do is to click on the chart, you copy it. Once you copy it, you now switch back to your Microsoft Word. So let's say I have a Microsoft Word right here, then I can now paste the chart. Now the chart I have in my Microsoft Excel is what I paste it right here in Microsoft Word. So look at that, I've pasted the chart. Now another method you can paste the chart such that any change made in Excel file will reflect in that of Microsoft Word is this. When you copy the chart and get to Microsoft Word, you can click on paste, paste special, paste link, and use either Microsoft Office Graphics object or Microsoft Excel chart object. So use any of these when you copy from Excel and want to paste as link, or want to create a link between the chart in Excel and that of Word Microsoft, such that any change made in Excel will reflect in that of Word. So by doing that, you click on Word. Okay, my chart appear normal, but the reason is that if I go back to Excel, then I change anything. Let's say I change this from 1595 to what? 50. Automatically it will drop on my chart. See that has dropped from 90 to 50. You can see it here. Now if I switch back to Microsoft Word, I will see that it has dropped also to 50. So the point is that if I copy the chart from Microsoft Excel to Word, whatever change I make to Excel chart will automatically reflect in that of Word. So that is how you can link your chart from Excel to Microsoft Word, maybe from one worksheet to another, or you can also link it from one workbook to another. Okay. Now the next thing we are going to see another example about this. Now let me switch to my next worksheet here. Now in this worksheet, I have sales report. I have month, region, and sales. Okay. So let's say we want to use months and sales to create our chart. You don't necessarily need to select all of them. How do you select months and select sales without selecting one region? See what you're going to do. What you do in that case is to click and select months. Okay, once you click and select months, you hold down your control key, then do what? Go up and select what? Sales. Now if you notice here now, I've been able to select what? Months and sales. So I can now go to create my chart and say inside, then chart, then choose any chart on my chart. Now look at this. So I now have my chart that contains months and sales alone. Okay, so I repeat that. So select that, you just do what? Click and drag to select months. To extend the selection to sales, but we don't want to select what or highlight what? Region. Hold down your control key on your keyboard, then click and drag to select months. With that, we don't want to select regions. We only select what? Months and sales. Okay, ignoring what? Region. Because we want our chart to carry only the content of month and the sales value. So once you select it like that, you can click on insert, then click on what? Chart, or any chart tab of your choice, then select the chart and it will appear just like what you see here. Okay, so that is how you can create your chart. All right, now let's say in this case, also in this worksheet, we are to find total for January East Coast. Now in this worksheet, we have January, February, March, and so on with different regions. But our concentration is for us to find total sales for what? January East Coast, not January West Coast, not January South Coast. Now, the formula to achieve this is what? Sum ifs. Okay, look at it here, sum ifs on my screen. Alright, because in our last previous example or last section, we talked about sum if. So now we're talking about sum ifs. The difference is that sum ifs combine more than one argument. That means it is to add a range of cells specified by what? A given set of what? Condition. So in this case, we want to sum or we want to add the total cells based on what? A given condition. What is the condition? The condition is that it must be what? January what? East Coast. Now here is how the formula look like so that you can follow up from here. It's going to be equal sign sum ifs. Okay. First thing we need here is what? Sum range. What is our sum range? Our sum range is this cells column. So we select the cells column inside here. Then the next thing we need is what? Criteria range. What is a criteria range? Criteria range in this case is what? January down to the last month. Okay. Then for each criteria range, let me select that again. So I'll just select my range. Okay. Then I put what? Comma. My criteria range is what? Month. So I'll just select month down here. Now for each criteria range you select, you must put what? The criteria. So in this case, I'm selecting A6 to A19. That means my criteria is what? January, and it must be close with what? A double quote, comma. Let me select my last criteria, which is what? Region. So I'll select from region here down here. Then I will just come back and say comma. What am I looking for in that region? I'm looking for what? East Coast. Okay, so the East Coast. Okay, so once I do that, I close my parenthesis and press what? Enter. Okay, that will give us what? For $6,000. That means total sales under January East Coast is what? The $6,000, because we do not look for West Coast for January or South Coast, but we're looking for what? East Coast. So here is the formula again in case you want to follow up. Equals and sum ifs, not sum if. Sum ifs C6 to C19, which is our sum range, A6 to A19, which is our criteria 1. What is the criteria we're looking at there? Is January. Then the next range is what? B6 to B19. The criteria range we are looking for there is what? East Coast. So we're telling Excel, hey, enter these cells, go into January and sum those January under what? East Coast for me. So Excel will just sum that by giving us a total, which is what? $46,000. Okay, so that's how you can perform those particular tasks. Note that to create your chart, you need to select your range. Okay, then go to what? Your inside and choose any chart of your choice and be able to create your chart. Just like my previous example here, let's assume I want to create a chart using I want to create my chart that will contain only region sales 2021 and sales 2022, or maybe sales 2020 and sales 2022. So what I'll do is to select my region. To extend the selection to 2020, I'll just hold down my control key, click 2020 cell range and click 2022, select 2022. Okay, see that I select region, hold down my control key, ignore 219, select 2020, select 2022, because those are the cells I want to use and create my chart. So in doing that, hold your control key. Then once you finish selecting it, go back to your inside, then click on your chart and select any chart choice. Okay, just pick any choice of your chart and you will have your chart right here in your worksheet. So that is it on how you can create a chart, what chart is all about, how you can change chart type, how you can link your chart, how you can add chart element, how you can change chart type, how you can copy your chart, and so on. All right, here we are in our worksheet. So here is our first worksheet we are going to use to illustrate the use of what? Our pivot table. Okay, so in this case we are to use this and look for a particular value in our range. So we're going to use that to look for a value. All right, so to do this, as you can see, we have this sample set of data that we are going to work with. Like we have the full name, and we have the department, and we also have our salary. So what we have to do quickly here is to look for the information that we want to work with. Okay, so in this case we are going to start by looking for a particular record in our table. Okay, so let's jump in and see how we can do this. All right, okay, so we have different worksheets here, like I said, date of birth also, but let me start with this particular exercise where I have the full name, department, and salary. Okay, so in this case we are looking for the salary of a particular name. That means that, as you can see, we have Brian Sloner. So that means if we enter the particular ID number for that person or the particular name, we're supposed to see the salary. So we don't want to scroll up and down and be looking for the person's salary in our table. Okay, so scrolling up and down, what if you have a large range of data from 1 to 1000, so you keep checking and be checking for the salary of that person. So this is not a good idea for you to use. So you can use the VLOOKUP to search for a particular value that you want in your table. So let's say our job here is to enter a VLOOKUP such that it will bring out the salary of the particular person or a particular name we enter here. All right, so first of all, where do we have VLOOKUP? You can see VLOOKUP from your formula tabs, then under lookup and reference, if you scroll down you will see the VLOOKUP and you can see the description of what VLOOKUP is talking about. Again, we are going to use the HLOOKUP, which if you come up here you will see the description of what HLOOKUP is all about. All right, so let's jump in and see how you can apply the formula. So in this case, you know what we are going to do. Like I said, we're looking for the salary of this person with the help of what our VLOOKUP. So we're going to type the formula by saying equal sign VLOOKUP. Okay, now if you look down here, you have the syntax for this formula, which is what lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup. Those are the arguments we need to create this formula. So first of all, where is our lookup value? Our lookup value in this case is in F2. Okay, if you look at my formula, we see that it's in F2. So after F2, we now put what, comma. The next thing here is what, table array. What is our table array in this formula? As you can see from our argument here, our table array is the entire table we're working with. So we now come down here and select the entire table right here. Okay, so you can select this entire table down to where you want it to be, which is what our table array, which is A2 to C55. Then you put comma. Then the next thing here in this syntax or this argument is column index number, meaning that which column contain the value we are looking for, or which column are we looking at. In this case, we have column A to be 1, column B to be 2, column C to be 3. So the column that contains the salary we are looking for is in column 3. So we type 3. Okay, comma. The last thing in this argument is what, range lookup. Range lookup can be true, that's approximate match, or false, exact match. So we're going to use approximate match. In the option of true, we can put what, or type what, 0. Then we close our parenthesis. So you see that we have VLOOKUP F2, which is our lookup value. That means whatever we enter in this cell, Excel should give us the salary. Okay, or whatever name we enter here, Excel should give us the salary. So the table array is A2 to C55. Then we have our column index number, which is 3. That means the column C is where we have our salary that we're looking for. Then we have 0. Then we press enter here. So that will give us the salary of this particular person, which is what, $74,243 for Brian. So that means that any salary or any name we enter here, what we'll see is the salary will pop out. For example, let's enter a name like John. If you enter John Thomas, then press enter, the salary will pop out. Okay, if we enter a name like Vicky, okay, we say Vicky James, sorry. All right, if we enter a salary up here, let's say we enter a salary here like Vicky James. Okay, once you press enter, we see the salary of that person. Okay, let's say again we want to see the salary of Steven Lamar. Okay, once you type the name and press enter, it shows the salary of that person. So that's just what this particular VLOOKUP function is helping us to do. So we type a VLOOKUP here. As you can see, there's a VLOOKUP here that look for the value or whatever we enter here in this 2. So if we type any person's name or any employee's name here, it will show us the employee's salary. That's what the formula is doing. So any employee's name or any name we enter here automatically will drop the person's salary no matter where the salary is in our column C. Just pick and drop the salary right here for us. Okay. All right. Now the next example is this. Let's look at the next example here. In this next example, we are to enter the employee's ID number. Okay, so we have to use VLOOKUP to return the salary of the employees with ID number 1030 or any other employee's ID. So same thing here, we're going to type a VLOOKUP formula here so that any ID number we enter where we have customer ID, if we enter any customer ID, automatically it will give us the salary. All right. So this time around, it's not about the name, it's about the ID. So we're using the ID to look for the salary of the employee. So instead of scrolling up and down to look for that person's salary, also you can use a VLOOKUP to look for that particular salary. All right, so let's type the formula by saying equal sign VLOOKUP. Then our table array, our lookup value, first of all, is what? K1, comma. Lookup value is K1, meaning whatever value you enter in K1 or whatever customer ID you enter in K1, it will show us the salary. So that's why it's called lookup value. That's where the value is. Then table array, like I said in a previous example, is this entire table. So you just select the entire table down here. Now once you are done selecting the entire table, what you will do next is to put comma. As you can see, type comma, then column index, which column contain the salary we are looking for from there. Okay, we find out that the column that contains the ID is column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's column 8. Okay, column 8. So here we now come back and type 8 right here, comma. Then we type 0 for approximate match. Then we close the parenthesis. Okay, so that is how the VLOOKUP work here. Remember what we are doing? We want to type any customer ID, then we see the salary popping out instead of scrolling down to look for that person's salary. So look at the formula. In the end, you just press what? Enter key. Now it's showing us not available because there is no ID number there. So if I now come back here and type ID number like 1024, now automatically to show us the employee's salary. All right, it's still not available. That means there's an error. Now I want us to see that anytime you see not available, it automatically means that what we are typing, that there's an error right there. Okay, so that means we are going to change this and check the employee's ID. Okay, let's check another employee's ID. Let's say if it's really from our formula. Okay, so let's say an employee ID like 1025. Okay, now you see that it's showing us not available because we are not entering the correct formula. So anytime you see not available, that means Excel cannot read what you have right here. Okay, so that means there's an error in your formula. So all you need to do is to check your formula. That means there's an error there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to make sure that we come back and clear this particular error that we have and make sure that you select your range. Okay, so in this case we are selecting our entire range. Okay, so please note, not available means Excel cannot see what you are looking for. Okay, so just to see that error so that you can know what to do anytime you encounter error. All right, so let's make sure that our formula is correct now so that you can check and know the error and correct the error anytime. All right, so you see that now. So our formula is correct now, so that any ID number we type here 1025, it shows the salary here. If I now type 1024, now it shows the salary of that person. So any employee's ID you enter, if I enter 1027, it shows the salary of that particular person. Okay, so that means our formula is correct now from our VLOOKUP. So please note, NA means not available. So if you see that error, just go back and check your range, go back and check if there's an error, go back and check if there's a name you enter that Excel doesn't recognize, go back and check if your range you select is properly selected as it's supposed to be. Okay, so now that you can see that we have VLOOKUP K2, A2 to H55, which is our table array. Column index is 8 and we have 0, so everything is correct right now. All right, so any employee's ID we enter here, we have the salary. Now quickly, let's assume that we don't want to be typing the employee's ID. What can we do? I don't want to waste my time typing the employee ID to add it there in order to see our salary. So all we'll do is to create a data validation. So here is how we're going to create a data validation. So I'll delete the ID number and it's showing us not available because there's nothing in that cell. I want to create a lookup value using what? A drop list. So I'm going to create a drop list there using what? Data validation. So let's go to data tab. Then in our data validation here, you click and you will see what? Settings, input message, error alert. So under alert, we're going to choose what? List. Then under source, we're going to select our source. In this case, we are going to select what? The employee's ID. All right, so we now come here and select all our employees ID to create a drop list so that we don't type it. All right, so once you select the employees ID or whatever you want to put in your source, you click on what? OK. So now let's look at this. That means that we are not going to type the employee's ID again to see the salary. So it's in a drop list now. So what happens is that when we click here, you see all the employees ID dropping out. If I click any of them, you see the salary. If you click any of the employee ID here, you see the salary. If I click here, I can even scroll down here because we have more employees ID. If I click employees ID 1038, it shows us the salary. So all the employees ID now, they are in a drop list when I use what? The data validation from here. Okay, so employees ID 1045 show us the salary. So as simple as that. First of all, you create a VLOOKUP here, then you now create a drop list for all this employees ID or all the customer ID. Then whatever ID you select, pop out the salary for you. So that's another example for our lookup function. Okay, now the next example we are going to work with here is going to be this. All right, now let's say we have a table that is package size, normal post and priority post. Now we want a situation whereby any package size we enter here, we want to see what? The normal post. Okay, we don't just want to come and type the size, type the normal post, type the priority post. So we want to use the VLOOKUP to search for the normal post anytime we type the size. Okay, so we type the size, it will show us the normal post value. So we now call up the VLOOKUP function. Okay, so VLOOKUP, then we now do what? Click on our lookup value, which is A4. Okay, A4 is our lookup value, meaning whatever we type there, go into the table array and bring the normal post value for us. All right, comma. Then we now select our table array, that is the table Excel is to work with. The table we want Excel to go and pick up something for us, comma. Then which column contain what we want? We need to type column 2 or 2. 2 contain our normal post, which is column B. All right, then we now type 0 for our exact match or approximate match, then press enter. So you see that now we have small here. Our normal post for small, you can see, is 0.50. Then if I now come back here and type maybe large, if I type large, it will show me 2.0. If I type maybe medium, it will show me what? 2.0. Okay, sorry, let me type that again. So if I now come back here and type if I type medium, okay, so let me type medium. Okay, it will show us 1.50. So any package size we type here automatically will show us the normal post. So for medium is what? 1.50 in our table. Now let's go for priority post, where we have equal sign, still the same VLOOKUP, then our lookup value is still this A4. Okay, then we select our table array, comma, column index number is column 30 because we are looking for the priority post, comma, then you put 0, then close our parentheses. So you see the formula there. By the time you press enter for medium on the priority post, that is 3.0. Let's say we enter something like large. If we enter large, it will show us what? 2.0 for normal post and 4.0 for our priority post. So in this small table, just so you see another example of VLOOKUP, which you have the formula right there. Okay, so you can check out the formula and try it out in any of the worksheet we are working with. Next, quickly, the next example we are going to see here is here. Okay, so let's look at this example here. Now the next example here is that we have this table where we have sell agent, quantity, revenue, price, and customer. Okay, now in this case we have agent report. That means I have my agent in a drop list. If you don't know how to create a drop list, please check my previous example. You'll be able to see how you can create a drop list. So I've already created a drop list here for my agent. So I want a situation whereby if I pick any agent here from my drop list, automatically I will see the price and I'll see what the customer they belong to. So VLOOKUP will do that for me. Alright, so let's type or create the VLOOKUP formula here. So I'll just say what equal sign VLOOKUP. My lookup value is H5, which is where I have my agent. Then table array as usual is my entire table here, comma. Then my column index number is, I'm looking for the price here. So the column index number is 4. So we type 4 for our column index number, then put what 0. Then we close our parenthesis. So you see that if I press enter, it will show us 40. That means for agent 1, the price there is 40. Maybe if I choose agent, maybe 6, the price is 74 from our table array. So let me type for customer. The same thing, you want to see the customer by typing VLOOKUP. Okay, then we still click on H5, which is our lookup value. Then we now come back and select our table, comma. Then in this case now our column index number is column 5. Then comma, then 0. Then we close this. Alright, so you see that we press enter. So that is customer E. So any agent we choose here, okay, automatically to show us the price and the customer it belongs. Because if you look at this, there's a VLOOKUP here under this cell. Also, there's a VLOOKUP here under this cell that does that. So the VLOOKUP still point to H5, which is what our lookup value. So that if I select any agent, okay, maybe agent 1 to show us the price 40 and the customer is customer A. So VLOOKUP can do that for you. Now, what about our HLOOKUP? Now, our table, as you can see that our table is vertical. Okay, our table is in vertical order. Whereby your table is in horizontal order, then that is when you use what HLOOKUP. It's almost the same thing, just that this time around HLOOKUP is looking for the any value from the row. Okay, while VLOOKUP is looking for any value from the left column. Okay, please, if you want to see more description about what HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP is, go to formula tabs, go to lookup and reference, then point at VLOOKUP. You will see that description. Also, you can point at HLOOKUP. You will see that description, what they are and the syntax. All right. So in this case, let's transpose our table so that it will be in a horizontal format. All right. So I will copy this table, click on where I want the table to be. Then I will now go to Home tab, go to Paste. Then I go to Paste Special. Then I will do what? Transpose. You see that? Copy the table, click on Paste, Paste Special. In this Paste Special dialog box, you choose what? Transpose. Now once you click on Transpose, you see that the table has been transposed automatically. Okay, so we have transposed this table. Now look at the different way it look like in this particular example where we're using what? VLOOKUP. Now look at the way it look like. So we just transpose the table to be in a horizontal order. So in this case now, if your table is given in this format you see here, then that is when to use what? Your HLOOKUP. So we're still going to use the example here to look for something, to look for the price and the customer. Here we've already created, or I've already created the drop down list or the drop list for our agent. So we have to enter VLOOKUP, almost the same thing like HLOOKUP, to look for the value. So in this case we have equal sign HLOOKUP. Okay, the same thing, lookup value. My lookup value is E27, okay, which is agent 1, or where I have my agent. Then comma, where is my table array? My table array is the entire table here, which I just transpose. Okay, then comma, what about my row index? Now look at, for HLOOKUP it's saying row index number. Remember for VLOOKUP it was what? Column index number. So our row index number, as you can see from this table arrangement, our row index number is row 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 because the price we are looking for is in row 4. So we still add 0 here. Then close our parenthesis. Okay, so you see that now what we are looking for is not in column 4, not column 2, but this time around is in row 4. So we press enter. So that is 40. That means if you look at agent 1, the price here is 40. All right, so if I now choose another agent, maybe agent 7, the price is 62. So agent 7 here is 62, which is the price. So this is agent 7. Okay, the price here is 62. Okay, so any agent I choose here, because I'm using HLOOKUP to show me the price. So agent 11, the price here is 43. All right, so this is our agent 11 here, 43. Okay, so we see how the table look like. Then we use what HLOOKUP. So let's bring out the customer finally by saying equal sign HLOOKUP. Then we select our lookup value, comma. Then we now select our table. Okay, we select our table down here, comma. Then we add. Now, since we're looking for customer, our customer is in row 5. So we type 5 here, comma. Then add our 0 and close our parenthesis. Then enter. All right. So customer J. So if I should select agent 4 or any agent, it will give us the price and the customer the agent is belong to. So that's another way you can use what your VLOOKUP and your HLOOKUP right here. Okay, now you can also use your lookup value using a different workbook. Okay, if you have a different workbook that contain information, you can also use what your lookup value or your HLOOKUP or your VLOOKUP. Let's say we're working with 2 range of cell. Okay, if you're working with 2 range of cell, you can, or 2 workbook at the same time. Okay, let's say you have 2 different workbook that contain information you want to pull out, then you can use what a VLOOKUP. Now in this case, let's say we have this table. Okay, now look at this table. This table contain some information about employees. Okay, now we have the employee ID number here, and we also have this table that contain their salary. Okay, this is the salary where we have it. A table name is what employee job salary. So we have annual salary here. Okay, so this table contain their salary, but we don't want the salary to be here. We want to pull the salary in this table into this other table. So this table now called employees deduction, there is no salary. So what I'll do is to come here now and type here annual salary, because I want to pull my annual salary from a different workbook down here. So we'll now call this one annual salary. Okay, this is our annual salary. All right, so I want to pull my annual salary that is in this table down to this other table here. All right, so we use the VLOOKUP by saying equal sign VLOOKUP. Now in this case, where is our lookup value? Our lookup value is me telling Excel to use this ID number. Okay, this ID number, the same is applicable in the other table. So I'm telling Excel to use this ID number, then go to this other table and bring their salary. So I'll just come back here, A2, then where is my table array? I'll now switch back to this table that contain their salary. Okay, this is my new table that contain the salary. Then I'll now come back and select the entire array. Of course, this is my table array. Okay, after I select my table array, I'll now come back here and click here and put comma. Then the next thing I'll put here is what? Column index number. What is my column index number? My column index number in this table called what? Job or employee job salary is what? Column 9. So what I'll do here is to come here and type 9. Okay, because that is the column that contains the salary I'm looking for. Then I'll put comma, and I put what? 0. Then I close my parenthesis. So you can pull your data from different workbook. Then press enter. See that now? Excel has used what? Excel has used this ID number from this table, then come to this particular worksheet and pick their salary from here and drop it in this particular table for me. So to make autofill to see other employee salary, what I will do is to do what? My autofill here to generate other employee salary. Okay, as simple as that. So you can use a different workbook to pull out your information using what? The VLOOKUP. Okay, so let me format this to be what? In a $sign. Okay, so I'll add my $sign to it to be what? $54,454,000. Okay, so what VLOOKUP does is that it goes to the other table that has the salary, pull the salary down into this table with the help of what? Our VLOOKUP. All right, so basically that is how you can use the VLOOKUP. Feel free to practice this using any worksheet that you need to get information without scrolling down to check those information. All right, okay, so now let's look at our pivot table, because it's the next thing we are looking at here. Remember, we are looking, our focus today was VLOOKUP and pivot table. So we're able to look at some example of pivot table, some example of VLOOKUP, which will help you to practice going forward. All right, now this is our table. If you look at this information, it's not well arranged. Pivot table is used to summarize data. Okay, if you have a complex data, you can summarize using what? Pivot table. Whereby you have a data like this that is looking so scattered, not well arranged, not well organized, then you can use what? Your pivot table to do that. Okay, so you can see that we have order number, courses, price to day, number of days training, and all of that. Okay, so we have Excel, PowerPoint, access, and all of that. This table is not well arranged, so we want to know the arrangement. We want to summarize this data or this information using what? A pivot table, so that it will be well, organized for someone to understand. Okay, so what we're going to do is to go to Insert. That is where we have our pivot table. Now in our Insert tab, you can see that we have pivot table here. Now once you click on the pivot table, Excel will select the range for you. Now in this dialog box, you can create your pivot table in a new worksheet or in an existing worksheet. So what we're going to do is to say new worksheet and click on OK. So here we are in our new worksheet. Let's say first of all, we're going to summarize our customer number, or our cost, or our customer price, or price to day for training, or number of days to training, or customer, or total value. So or number, order number. So let's say we start with cost. Let's summarize the cost. By the time you click on this cost, it shows you that these are the summary of the costs we have, meaning we have Access, Excel, PowerPoint, and Word training. Those are the costs. If you don't click for it to appear here, you can equally do what? Click and drag it where you have what? The row. Okay, see that? Click and drag it to where you have the row. The next thing we want to summarize here. Now look at the difference here, that in this table, the information wasn't well arranged. Okay, see the way information is looking not really arranged, maybe as if you can't read this information. So we want to organize it. So you see that now the way this information was arranged, I see it now the way it's well arranged, that these are our courses. Before now it wasn't arranged this way or organized this way. So we want to see maybe price to day for training, that is total price to day for training. So we can drag it under where we have what? Value. So that will give us what? Sum of price to day for training for our courses. That means Access, the total was 1,008, Excel total was what? 2,000, PowerPoint 1,350. So these are just the summary compared to the way our table look like. Okay, if the table is like this and we have a large table, we will find it difficult to summarize or to see how we can understand this information. But now that we create a pivot table, we now see the summary of all the courses we did, and we now see the sum of all the price to pay for training. If there's any particular field I want to summarize or see the total, what I will do is to say I want to see total value. That means I want to see total value of training. So I will now click on the total value and drag it under what? Value. So you see that I have sum of total value. So feel free to use any pivot table, and you will see the field from on your right side of the table or your screen, and you'll be able to select the field you want to summarize. You can remove any of this by turning off the check mark or deleting it out from your value or from your rows. It depends on the one you want to remove. Okay, now in the end, we want to create a pivot chart. You can summarize your data also using a pivot chart. How do you create a pivot chart? If you go to Insert, under a group called Chart, and you will see what? A pivot chart. Just like every other chart, you can click on the pivot chart here and say pivot chart. So when you click on pivot chart, it will show you the pivot chart dialog box. So you choose any chart of your choice, maybe column, line, pie, or any chart of your choice. So let's say I want to create column chart. I'll just click on it and click OK to have my chart. That means that automatically I'm summarizing my data using what? A pivot chart. Okay, as you can see. Now, what is the difference between creating a normal chart and a pivot chart? A pivot chart, for example, based on what I was doing here, give me, if you look at here, give me cost. That means I can filter out any cost I don't want or any information I don't want from my chart automatically. So this is what a normal chart cannot do. Okay, so let's say I want to remove Microsoft Word from my table. I can just click here to turn it off and click OK. Now, if you look at my main worksheet or my main summary, I don't have Microsoft Word. If you look at my chart, I don't have Microsoft Word again. But maybe let's say I want to print this. After printing this, I want to bring back my Microsoft Word. I can click here and turn it off by clicking on Microsoft Word and click OK. It now brings out my Microsoft Word both on my worksheet and on my chart. So you see that pivot table allows us to summarize the complex data and make our data look well organized and looking very neat. So next time you have a complex data that you want to summarize, you want to see the total of a particular value in a summarized way or in an organized way, pivot table can help you. Now, you may not have a small table for this, but when you have a complex data, a complex table you want to summarize, then you can follow this step or this process to summarize your own data. Okay, all right, thank you.